Howdy folks, it is Scanner here. In this video, I'm going to talk about something that I find incredibly interesting, and I hope you do too. It allows me to combine two of my favorite things, which is a general interest in the human condition and psychology, and the hobby space. As lockdowns all around the world are lifting, and we are once again meeting each other face to face in tournament halls and Games Workshop stores and friendly local gaming shops and all manner of places all around the world again to engage in our hobby in a public space. And as YouTubers are coming out of their self-inflicted drama hibernations to once again accuse each other of weird crap and to do weirder crap, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about something that is very common in the hobby space, and that is the hobby bully and how to deal with them. Most people in the hobby will have run into a hobby bully at some point over the course of their life. These are people for whom enough is frankly never enough. Everything has to be on their terms. They will go out of their way to make your life miserable. In tournaments, they can often cheat or push the boundaries and rules as much as they can. When everyone's just trying to have a nice conversation about something, they'll always be trying to find somebody to rib on. And when people are showing off their models, they'll be, generally speaking, trying to accuse other people of being talentless, even though their own models might look like a melted ice cream cone. So how do you deal with this person? Many people don't like bullies, and that's completely understandable. Bullies are, in general, horrible people. But, in the same token, lots of folks are unwilling or unable to understand or stand up to bullies. Now, why is that exactly? I couldn't tell you. I'm not a psychologist, but I do have a theory where that every bully you run into over the course of your life reminds you of the most impactful bully that you met, which is normally the first one. When you're 4 or 5 years old and you're sitting there happily playing with Lego or stickle bricks or something like that, and some other 4 or 5-year-old comes up and just punches you in the eye and takes your stuff. That's right there and then is normally when people decide how they're going to deal with bullies. You're either going to punch back or you're going to let them take your things. They're the two general reactions to the appearance of your first bully. It can, however, really put you in your place psychologically where you figure, oh, I'm not the kind of person who's actually going to stand up for themselves on instinct. Some people grow up and grow out of it. A great example of that is somebody like Georges St. Pierre, former MMA fighter, was bullied horrifically and horrendously as a young child, developed an interest in martial arts, went on to become ludicrously talented, and despite feeling intense anxiety around physical combat, became the person with the mental strength to forge an absolutely magnificent and storied career in the world of MMA, despite feeling anxiety before each and every fight. You cannot simply write yourself off based on the fact that you have been bullied. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, I enjoy my hobby, but I'm a quiet person, there's no way I can become the kind of person who could stand up to a bully, that's simply not true. Everybody can stand up to a bully, as evidenced by many, many, many people involved in physical sports. Lots of them have stories that lead them to sports as a way to find their self-confidence. If they can do it in a sport that involves violently getting punched in the face, then you can too. We also need to develop an understanding of what we consider bullies to be. PhD psychotherapist Joseph Burgo, who has written extensively on the subject of narcissism and narcissists, contends that all bullies fall into narcissistic tendencies. Now, that is not to say that all bullies are legitimate textbook narcissists, but that there is certainly a close line between the two. The reason he maintains that this is important to understanding the mind of a bully is that what narcissists effectively try to do is prove their own superiority through the apparent inferiority of others. It's not about being able to make themselves look good, it's about being able to make others look bad. Burgo often cites the case of noted and famous drug cheat and Tour de France rider Lance Armstrong as the perfect example of somebody who defended their own superiority by implying inferiority on the part of other people. If we take into account that almost every high-level athlete in the Tour de France was doping, not just Armstrong and his team, then Armstrong and his team were still the best on an effectively even playing field. That wasn't enough for somebody like Lance Armstrong, however. When it came out that he might indeed be taking some kind of illegal drugs to help him out and improve his performance, he wasn't happy just saying yes or no. He had to go after the people who were accusing him of such and attempt to destroy them. That's narcissistic behaviour. It's defense of self by implying inferiority on the paths of other people. That's what bullies try and do, even hobby bullies to a large degree. Now, what we also need to do is try and figure out exactly what we are talking about here with regards to hobby bullies. Are hobby bullies people who are just mean to other people, or are they people who are far more vindictive than that? I would contend that hobby bullies begin by simply being mean to other people. It might not happen often and it might not happen regularly, but being mean to others for no particular reason, especially in circumstances where your meanness may not be understood, which is a crucial point of bullies, then they are on their path of becoming a certified, bona fide, smack-in-the-eyed hobby bully. Now, the reason why I say that their meanness may be misunderstood is that within certain social contexts, particularly with groups of friends who all know each other and have known each other for a long time, meanness will be part of a shared sense of humour. You will often be mean to your friends because it's funny, and there's an assumption that no lines will be crossed, that your meanness will be understood as an attempt at humour, and that someday soon you will also be on the receiving end of some meanness which you will take in a good-natured fashion. That's the point of meanness within a social construct among friends. It builds bonds, it keeps everybody humble, and it shows that you will, in the future, be able to laugh at yourself as much as you can laugh at your friends. It makes everybody closer and bonds us all together within our communities. The first step of the hobby bully will often be to test those boundaries. How mean can they be? And they will do this for two reasons. The first is that they will often be insecure themselves and they're projecting this insecurity onto other people. If I am mean to you and say a mean statement, accuse you of taking it poorly and not being able to take it in jest, I set up new boundaries. From that point on, anything that you say to me will be an attempt to get back at me for hurting your feelings. It doesn't matter if that's true or not, but I am establishing a narrative around your response to my joke where I push the line further than I should or would need to. This projection cuts off the ability of you to respond to me, so I, as a narcissist, never need to deal with my own feelings of inferiority that drive my narcissistic behavior. Because I'm a narcissist, I'm undoubtedly struggling with dealings of inferiority, but I'm by no means stupid. I'm a good enough social engineer to be able to put you on the back foot straight away. That's pretty much the entire point of narcissism. It also does an other interesting thing, which is helps me seek out what are often referred to as flying monkeys. Flying monkeys are people that I can set on you. These will often come to the fore in the hobby space, especially online. People on the internet, YouTubers, big names on Twitter, even people on subreddits who have a lot of friends on the subreddits and things like that will be able to very, very easily set some flying monkeys on each other. It's fairly pathetic when you see it. You should know and understand that attempts to do this are instant indicators that the person is lacking confidence in not just their arguments, but their ability to stand up for themselves, and they need their little flying monkeys to do the work for them. By being able to set a mob on somebody, the hobby bully reinforces their own sense of superiority, not because they feel like they're being stood up for by other people, which is what a normal human being would feel in such circumstances, but because they feel strongly that their ability to control others and set them on their enemies somehow makes them better than everybody else. Another tool used by hobby bullies that will often come to the fore in tournaments is the concept of gaslighting. Gaslighting is where you attempt to make somebody question their view of reality and dismiss their gut feelings. We've seen recent cases of this occurring actually online in Warhammer 40k tournaments when noted players were caught fudging their roles and generally being dorks trying to convince the other player that they hadn't witnessed what they'd witnessed. This is definitive narcissistic behaviour. Not only is it showing that the person in question has such a superior view of themselves in that moment that they think they can make you question reality, they're also telling you that you're so inferior to them that you will question your own eyes and experience rather than just question them as an authority figure. It's super interesting and definitively one of the most telling signs that somebody is in fact narcissistic as hell. They will also seek to escalate. This is prime example narcissistic behavior. The assumption of a narcissist is that you will not be able to be comfortable if they cause a scene. They will effectively rage the way that people do online, on the internet. This will get more eyes on the situation. In a way, all the attention is kind of validating for them. In a way, they're hoping that it will shut you down and you will not be able to press the issue any further. So we've talked about what narcissists are, how hobby bullies can often be narcissists, simple little signs that you're dealing with a hobby bully, and now it's time to talk about what you actually need to do to be able to effectively deal with them. The first thing to do when dealing with a bully in any walk of life is to understand that you control in all things the circumstances of your own victory. For some people, a victory will be vastly different to other people, and it's all about having the strength of will and the strength of character to interpret your actions versus the actions of the other person, decide what is a win to you, and then go about getting that resolution to the circumstances. That's exactly what the narcissist is trying to do, but for them it's very important that you feel inferior to them at the end of the circumstances and they have effectively one-upped you. For you, you need to establish what it is yourself, what it is that's going to maintain your feelings of self-respect. It's really important that people think about this kind of stuff all the time. Every day we're faced with different kind of moral challenges. We will often sit there and have hypothetical conversations with our friends. What would you do in this situation and that situation, as we try and decide who exactly we would stand up for. Very rarely do people sit there and try to figure out what it is that they would stand up for with regard to themselves. Instantaneously, it's almost like we consider ourselves to be of lesser value than other people, when this simply isn't true. You are much higher value than any other people for one simple reason. You are the only person that you can control. Even if you're sitting there with the assumption that somebody else is somehow better or more moral than you, that doesn't matter. You can do nothing that dictates how that person will act in the future. The only person you can control is yourself. The only person that you can truly affect having a moral life where you try to hurt as few people as possible and live your own life in the best way possible is actually yourself. So you need to sit down and decide what is a win to you. Is a win getting to just finish up your tournament and feel happy? Is a win walking away from any circumstance and just not engaging with people like this? Is a win, and this isn't often advisable, punching somebody in their nose. That's all on you to figure out. The important aspect is that you are willing to deal with the consequences thereafter. I've punched many people in the nose over the course of my life. It's not something I ever had a major issue with, and I was always more than happy to deal with any consequences that came my way if I made the decision to do just that. However, I wasn't a violent psychopath, so that wasn't exactly the end result that I wanted to look for. For me, it was simply being able to look myself in the eye. Can I look at myself and think, yeah, I did the okay thing there. I stood up for the person who needed to be stood up for, even when that person was me. That was really what I was always hoping to achieve when faced with a bully in any walk of life, be it professionally, be it in the gym, be it in the boxing ring, or be it in any of my areas of interest, such as my hobby or photography or anything like that. I just never really suffered bullies at all, and I always let them know anybody who wanted it could get it. It wasn't an issue. It didn't matter what that was. Maybe it was a physical altercation, maybe it was a verbal altercation. There was no situation that a hobby narcissist or any other form of bully could generate that would make me feel awkward, because I have no sense of shame. Simply ask my wife. She will confirm it for you. You need to figure out what it is for yourself that you want to do. For many people, it will be take a stand. For others, it will simply be to have a quiet life. There is no right or wrong answer. That gives you your path to victory against any hobby bully, because what they're looking to do is put you in circumstances that you don't like, and all you need to do is maintain the circumstances that you do like. Is somebody being an absolute dork when it comes to their dice rolls? You can just let it slide. Just tell them, yep, no problem. Do it in such a way where you clearly know that they are fudging their rolls, and you clearly know that they need to cheat to beat you. That way you're never giving them the sense of victory that they want. They will be aware that you are just interpreting their actions like that of a child, and are doing what most adults will do with a child when they are acting up, which is simply humor them, because the interaction on that level between an adult and a child doesn't actually have any massive value for the adult in the equation. You're not equals. There's no point in pretending you're equals. You're simply letting them know that you're going to let them get away with their little 6s instead of 5s, or their 4s instead of 3s, simply because you know for a fact if they don't get their way, they're going to get mega cranky, they're going to need a bottle, and they're going to need their nap. And you can do all this very, very simply with simple tone of voice. If they roll as 5 and they claim it was a 6, just simply say, I'm pretty sure I saw it as a 6, or I saw it as a 5, and they'll be like, no, I rolled a 6. And then you simply say, well, if you're sure you rolled a 6, let's just call it a 6 then. Nice and sarcastically. That's it. Their entire plan is undermined. They can't make you angry. They can't make you feel inferior. They've actually made you feel superior because you don't feel the need to cheat. If it's something as simple as them, I don't know, being mean about the models that you have painted or something like that, then that's kind of a tougher one, because you can take two roads. You can either insult their work, or you can simply ignore them, or you can simply thank them for any feedback that they've given you, which is always a good one and tends to infuriate people if they're looking for a negative reaction from you. If they're trying to make you mad, just simply say, thank you for taking the time to look at my models. I appreciate the feedback, and you don't need to engage with them on any other level. The important thing to remember about a hobby bully is that they need a dance partner to be able to bully somebody. All you need to do is deny them the dance partner, and you'll be good to go. At this point, I kind of want to make an ancillary point about the whole flying monkeys thing, which are the people that the hobby bully can set upon you sometimes if you annoy them. I would consider this to be, on the internet, hyper invested fans of YouTubers or personalities or things like that, who, when they feel like somebody's questioned the ethics, integrity, talent, or ability of their favorite YouTuber, whom they live through vicariously and enjoy a parasocial relationship with, I just feel bad for those people. If those people are coming after you, the easiest thing to do is sit back, relax, rest up, knowing for a fact that they more than likely feel pretty terrible about most things. That's why they're actually doing what they're doing. Anybody with a sense of self-confidence in themselves doesn't actually feel the need to psychotically stand up for another person like that. Not in a way that makes other people feel inferior and negative and whatnot. The easiest thing to do if you see somebody being wronged publicly is just to politely state, I feel that person is being wronged. It's not to show up on people's social medias and scream and shout at them and levy threats and abuse and things like that. The chances are that the person is simply attempting to fit in with a certain social situation or circle, or is worried about someday being on the receiving end of this weaponized annoyance, is the easiest way to describe it. Now, I'm not saying it's not a very serious issue, especially for certain people who might struggle to deal with that kind of negative attention, but I am pointing out that there is a degree of tragedy involved for the people who are going after others in such a way. And that's it. That's all I really have to say. When it comes to the hobby bully, the important thing is to recognize that for them, the win is making you feel bad. And the easiest way for you to win is to simply not feel bad. To understand that it's not actually personal between the bully and you. They're not picking on someone that they have a genuine, earnest, valuable dislike of. There's no way that hobby bully can tell you anything that's going to be in any way valuable to you as a human being that will help you grow or change or better yourself, either as a person or within the hobby space. What they are is just chancing their arm. You are no different to them than any of the hundreds of girls that pickup artists will tell their little trolls to throw themselves at over the course of a weekend. They're simply playing a statistics game. If they can put you in the position of a victim, they'll be very happy to do so and take advantage of it. If not, they will more than likely just move on. And that's it. That's really all I have to say about hobby bullies. I'm aware that dealing with them in the grand scheme of things isn't as simple as I am portraying it here. It takes a lot of self-thought. It takes a lot of seeing the value of yourself. But it's also very important to point out that that is actually what it takes to stand up for yourself and to deal with bullies. That you do need to work on your own opinion of yourself. You do need to work on your own sense of worth. And these things are worth doing even if they're intensely difficult. Even if it's just as simple as within the hobby space that you do it. That will bleed out into your real life and you will begin to see the value of yourself in far more ways than just as a painter or as a wargamer or as somebody who does whatever it is that you like to do. You will start to intrinsically see the value of yourself and your potential as a person, which in turn will better equip you to deal with future hobby bullies. Now, I know this video was incredibly long. If you watched all the way to the end, I think I appreciate that very, very much. And as always, thanks a bunch for watching, guys, and I hope you're having a great day.